Hello, my name's Clinton, and I'll be your guide through this module of Day 12. We're going to talk about absolute values. Please don't forget to pause this presentation at any time if you just need a bit more time to think about something. You might be familiar with the number line, which is just a convenient diagram we can use to think about all numbers. Any number you can think of can be placed somewhere on this line. Of course, we need to imagine the line extends infinitely in both directions. Let's think about what information we need to specify where a number sits on the number line. First of all, we need to know how far away the point on the line is from 0. Remember, 0 sits in the middle of the line, with the positive numbers to the right and the negative numbers to the left. This is known as the magnitude, or absolute value of the number, the absolute distance of the number from 0 on the line. This isn't enough to completely specify the number, however. We also need to know its sign, that is, which side of 0 the number is sitting on. Let's talk a bit more about the absolute value of a number. Remember, this tells us how far away the number is from 0, without regard for its sign. We write the absolute value of a number like this, with vertical bars around the number. The absolute value of a number will always be positive, because it's telling us how far the number is from 0. Even for a negative number, the absolute value will still be positive. Or 0, if the number happens to be 0. If x was a positive number to begin with, then when we take its absolute value will just be the positive number, x. That is, a positive number is equal to its absolute value. If x is negative, so it sits on the left of 0 on the number line, then its absolute value will be the corresponding positive number on the other side of 0. For example, here, the absolute value of minus 2 is plus 2. Let's look at some more examples now. The absolute value of positive 3 is just positive 3, but the absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. Let's think about solving equations which involve absolute value signs. Suppose we're given the equation absolute value of x is 3 and asked to solve for x. Remember that this means we need to find all numbers x for which this equation is true. That is, all numbers x which have absolute value 3. But we know that there can only be two possibilities for numbers with absolute value 3. The first is just 3 itself, but also the number on the other side of 0 on the number line, minus 3, also has absolute value 3. So this equation, absolute value of x equals 3, has two solutions, 3 and minus 3. What if we have a more complicated equation like this one? Absolute value of x plus 1 is 4. If we want to solve this for x, we know that if the absolute value of x plus 1 is 4, then either x plus 1 must be equal to 4, or it must be equal to minus 4, since these are the only two numbers with absolute value 4. So there are two possibilities then. In the first situation, when x plus 1 is plus 4, we can just rearrange to get x is 3. But it's also possible that x plus 1 is minus 4, in which case we can rearrange to get x is minus 5. Again, we're getting two possible values for x as solutions to our equation. Now pause and try these practice questions for yourself. Press play when you want to continue. Here are the answers. Press pause, and then press play when you want to continue. To finish off the module, and the bridging course, we're going to think about graphing functions with absolute values in them. To start with, let's graph the function y equals absolute value of x. When x is positive, this function will look the same as the graph of y equals x, since x is equal to its absolute value for positive x. However, when x is negative, we will be plotting the positive number, which is the negative of x. So for negative x, this function will look the same as the graph of y equals minus x. Here's y equals x, and here's y equals absolute value of x. Notice that the end result is just reflecting up the negative part of the graph in the x-axis. Let's look at another example. Let's graph the function y equals absolute value of 2x minus 1. Here's the graph of the line y equals 2x minus 1. And here we've reflected the negative part back up to get the graph of y equals absolute value 2x minus 1. Now pause and try these practice questions for yourself. Press play when you want to continue. Here are the answers. Press pause if you want to see a particular function in more detail.